Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Another and it's entitled Making Nigerian Youth Embrace Mr. Paul Hammond. Let's see. That because when you have youth not doing much, so I believe in an economy working in terms of supply and demand. And you agree with me that we do have a huge demand for food in Nigeria. This is a population of more than 200 million, and the demand for food is there. And that's the reason why Nigeria imports much of the food we consume, a good percentage of the food we consume. The problem is meeting that demand with supply when we have the hands, the youth population. How come the youth population is not engaged in this laudable activity to meet that demand? Mr. Paul. So
Yeah.
what do you
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the question. Nigeria is having a huge unemployment challenge. This challenge has not been addressed for a very long time because for several years, Nigerian universities, polytechnics, colleges of education have been churning out avalanche of graduates, but there were no commensurate jobs to absorb them. Hitherto, the idea of going to school is to finish and go and get a white collar job. But the white collar jobs are not in a huge supply to meet the demand of the youths, especially graduates and other categories of educated Nigerians. That is why we are having a huge unemployment figure in Nigeria. Like you rightly pointed out, 33% unemployment is huge in any country.
Yeah.
Now, this 33% is a general but 53% youth for a country that the youth constitute almost 60% or more of the population.
That is scary.
It's a scary population. It's something that government need to do something about. Now, people have suggested various ways through which these youths can be occupied or made to contribute to the economy of Nigeria. And looking at Nigeria being an agrarian society, agriculture has been seen as one of the best options to get the youth engaged. But the enabling environment has to be also provided for them because the youths, they have gone to school, they go into farming, you don't expect them to go
Hoes and cutlasses.
cutlasses. You have to provide. They are not going to do farming the subsistence way, where you practice agriculture just to feed your family, immediate family. No. So that is what the issue. So what do we do to encourage the youths to embrace agriculture? What can the government do? A lot of opportunity in the agricultural sector. Nigeria imports between 2016 and 2019, we imported 3.33 billion, 3 trillion
3.3 trillion naira
of food.
of
Yeah,
food.
yes, of food in Nigeria.
That is serious.
So it shows the incentive for anybody who want to go into farming out. A little over 800 billion naira. So
It's
we
a
are
huge
having
gap.
a deficit
Yeah,
in
a
that
deficit,
sector,
a huge
a huge deficit in that sector. So it's an incentive that should encourage the youths. And the youths are also scientific minded. Many of these kids are young people these days, they are very digital people, they are very savvy and all that. You can't expect them to concentrate in food production, which is area that government have been paying more attention. There is a need to create atmosphere or environment for them to go into food processing, because there's a huge opportunity for the youths in food processing, in the agricultural value chain. There's also a huge opportunity for them to go directly into food production. Nigeria is a country that is blessed with good arable lands all over the country, except for some part of the Sahel region of Nigeria. Virtually every part of Nigeria, you can grow many types of food crops. So there's a lot of incentive there for the young people. So the question is, what can be done? How do you encourage them? What can the government do to ensure that the youths see the need to embrace agriculture?
So, talking about what can government do to make the youth see that there is need for investment or attention in the agriculture sector. One of the things that people look at when talking about agriculture sector in relation to the youth, we talk about lack of basic farming knowledge. Nigerian youth is being reported lack basic farming knowledge. We're not speaking necessarily about people living in the villages. There are many opportunities there. Even at the university level, there are opportunities for people to learn and to produce food. Now, I listened to a minister just not long ago, and he made a comment that appealed to my faculties. He said, there are universities that are still giving out cutoff marks for entry into those universities, high cutoff marks. Now, he made this point when he said, how can you have maybe 500 persons interested in studying agriculture, and then you have a cutoff mark that reduces them to 75? That is like constraining them, that is like discouraging interest in that sector, in the agriculture sector. When people want to learn and to put their knowledge into practice, and you constrain it by
But
the education
I
system.
do not agree with him.
I'm coming.
He's getting it wrong.
Yeah, that's
We
the
are talking
point.
about numbers.
Yes, we're talking about
creating the environment for teaching and learning.
yes.
Now you don't have to fill the whole place with those who want to study agriculture if there are no facilities for them in terms of laboratory and everything else that is needed to teach the subject.
Yeah, but not
So
only
if
that,
you
not only that,
ban them because you want everybody to get admitted, the quality of the graduates you are going to produce will be very, very low.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think the issue. I think you made a very important point when you were talking about that agri knowledge or farming knowledge is limited. But I also have something to say about that. In most secondary schools, students that study agriculture as part of their optional subjects, they have experimental farms. So it's not as people pass through secondary school, they don't know anything about agriculture. There are school farms.
Yes.
Where practical agriculture are supposed to be taught.
Yes.
Where students go and practice agriculture on a practical level.
Yeah.
That shows that most students who pass out through secondary school at least have experience of what
basic
knowledge of farming.
Yes.
Okay. But we understand that these days, because of how the country is structured, many students are no longer are based in the cities, and they are not living in boarding schools. All those agricultural farms or all those experimental farms, demonstration farms they used to have in the schools. Some private schools don't even have them at all. So many students that pass out through private secondary schools do not have such experience. So I agree with you on that side. But most public schools before now
do
have it.
Or they did have it.
Yes. But also this agri business we're talking about that the youth should embrace is an entrepreneurship endeavor. So it can be taught. The youth can be taught that agriculture is a business, so that they don't look at it from the perspective of just elderly men and women in the rural areas and in the villages who produce food, go to farm with
under the burning sun,
with machetes and hoes and all that.
So beaten by flies.
Be able to look at it from a scientific perspective, from entrepreneurial perspective.
Yeah, Mr. Paul.
That is why even those youths that will go into farming, they should also be taught how to write business plan.
You have the point there. You have a good point.
So these are things that need to be taught to the young people, because they are not going into farming. We are not encouraging them to go into farming to practice like their fathers. They are going to practice modern farming.
Yeah.
They are going to go into farming in such a way that with their mobile phone, they could be able to get information from meteorological agents.
Yes.
Or apps that can give them where they can sell their products. Apps that can tell them when to plant. Apps that can give them weather and climatic reports that will make them better farmers than their fathers.
Fortunately, Nigeria has gotten to that stage, where it's not just going to the farms. The value chain is widening.
Exactly.
And when we talk about widening value chain, some people who go and hunt for investors.
Yes.
Put money into those investments and make sure that they engage the farmers and the marketers. They become middlemen. There are apps that actually get these problems solved.
Yes.
And there are Nigerians that are doing that.
And
It's adding value to
government can
the
be
sector.
investing in the process. We need in this country. We need many palm oil refineries.
I continue to say
We need
in
palm kernel
2019, in 2019, Nigeria
we need
imported.
equipment that can shell palm kernels.
In 2019, Nigeria imported palm oil to the tune of $199 million.
Yes. We need equipment that can process yam, process cassava,
Yes.
process plantain.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity and incentives
And
that will encourage the youth to go into use. Some of the youth can even go into the packaging.
Yeah. There's so much technology going into all of this. Just today, if you look in the paper, national economy, if you look in the paper, you see a report there that says there is this IITA, which is in Ibadan. They have come up with this technology that increases the tonnage per hectare. Um, of course, the tonnage per hectare in Nigeria right now for cassava is 5 tons per hectare. But they are looking at the technology that will increase tonnage per hectare by up to 25 tons per hectare. That is huge. Although Nigeria is the highest producer of cassava, but
Such research agencies, they also need to go on enlightenment campaign. People need to know what they are doing, because it's not enough for you to have hybrid cassava stems and the farmer is not aware of it. The farmer cannot afford it, and there is no publicity behind it. So it's important that whatever innovation we are doing,
it has to be spread. There needs
the public need to be aware of it.
They need to be aware. There needs to be that information.
Yes, that's why government invests huge amount of money in those research institutes.
Exactly. Let's take a short break. When we come back, there are more issues we want to discuss about this, including what technology can do in encouraging Nigerian youth to go to the farms or to get involved in agricultural activities. Let's take a short break. Stay tuned. Stay with us.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
You're welcome back to Leadership Podcast. You are on the agribusiness segment of Money Radio. Still with me in the studio is Mr. Paul Wadima, our capable in-house analyst. I'm your host, Case Hammond. So we're talking about how the Nigerian youth can actually embrace agriculture to reduce unemployment. And Mr. Paul, we're talking about the different technology that can be applied to increase agriculture. But not only that, the focus of today's discussion is reducing unemployment, and we are talking about encouraging the youth to go into agriculture. Now, we have been looking at basically going to the farm, clearing grass or clearing bushes, and then planting, and then watching over it for months before we see results. But it doesn't just stop there. There are so many areas of agriculture. We're talking about fisheries, we're talking about animal husbandry, poultry, and a whole host of them. There are these areas where Nigerian youth can actually go into, and it is enriching. It is enriching. I was listening to an interview just this morning on one of the television stations, and this guy was saying at the rate at which he's selling fish, he's rearing fish, catfish. He said at the rate at which he's selling fish per week, he doesn't have problem in taking care of his family. His family is cool. They are all right. When somebody says, my family is all right in this economy, you can understand that fishery is actually, fish farming is actually something that one can go into. But it spans across not just fish farming, and husbandry. We don't know how much comes out of the cattle farming, goat, sheep. But these are things we eat every day because we don't have proper records. So it's not just a limited thing. There's, there's a huge vista of opportunities in the agriculture sector. Nigerian youth need to actually take advantage of.
Yeah.
But I want you to comment on that knowledge issue again. Because some people just, as you were saying, they just look at agriculture as going to suffer under the sun. But there are so many areas that with just that knowledge, they can actually spread their tentacles and make money.
Nigerian agricultural sector can be divided into perhaps four major subdivisions.
Okay.
We are talking about crop production.
Yeah.
Talking about animal husbandry.
Yeah.
Talking about fishing.
Yeah.
And then forestry.
Good.
These are basically the four subsectors that we have. And each of these four sectors provide huge opportunities for the youth if they are well motivated, if they are well encouraged to go into agricultural sector business. But the biggest subsector is crop production, where smallholder farmers dominate. And that is the area that government has been paying attention over the years just to produce the food, to produce the agri-produce, from cocoa to yam to beans to rice. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's overemphasis on this sector, on this subsector, which is important because looking at our population of 200 million Nigerians, you of course have to pay attention to food production.
Yeah.
But to generate employment that will be attractive to the youth, we have to think about encouraging the youth and training them to go into the agricultural value chain, like food processing. Are you getting it?
Yes.
Because food processing is one area that there is huge need for it. Those who can be able to process the food in such a way that they will not spoil, because we have a lot of wastage during harvest. But if we find a way of preserving the food, processing it, adding value to it, it provides a long-term opportunity of food availability. And it's an opportunity for the youth to encourage them to go into agro-business. I give you a typical example of shellers. You can have shelling machine, shellers that can be able to break melon, that can be able to break down palm kernel and all that. And all these are very useful in the value chain.
Yeah.
They are very useful in the value. So it's an opportunity for young people to look at investing in the agricultural value chain. And how can you do that? Government need to support them. Many of them just come out of school. Some have been unemployed for years, so they don't have the required resources to go into large-scale farming. We know that government has tried to do its best in terms of the anchor borrowers program.
Yeah.
Being supervised and carried out by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Yes.
It is not enough. More needs to be done because funding is a major issue that we can use to attract young farmers. Funding. There is need for more funding. In 2020 budget, agriculture was constituted just 1.8% of the total budget, which was far below the Mobutu declaration that African countries should ensure that they devote 10% of their total budget on the agricultural sector.
Yeah.
So when you devote 1.8% of the budget on agriculture, which is below the Mobutu declaration I told you about,
By
that you are already showing that you are not committed in terms of funding it. And you don't expect the young people to come and farm with the mentality of their fathers and forefathers. They have seen, they have studied, they have learned how agriculture is being practiced, even in African countries like South Africa. And they know that all you need is funding, provision of equipment, adequate power supply, enabling laws, creating providing security. All these are things that government can do to encourage young people to look at agriculture as a viable alternative to white collar jobs.
You know, you made an important point there, and I would like us to stress on it a bit. You made a point where we're talking about food processing. We don't have too many food processors, and then many of our roads are bad, and as a result of that, the issue of insurance comes into play, because when you produce so much food, you put in so much effort, and you pump in money to an agricultural year, so to speak, and after producing so much, you see it just perish, either because of bad roads or because of lack of processing at facilities. As a result of that, you see that your effort just goes to waste. That brings in the issue of insurance. Are our farmers insured? Are our farmers' crops insured? Because these are some of the things that, in fact, when you talk about subsidy in places like US and Europe, that's what really farm subsidy, they really pump money into those areas and have their governments, the governments actually make sure that they don't operate at a loss, because food security is survival. So, do we know of any farmers that are sick or that are insured? Only farming activities.
The issue is that, you know, our farming sector or our farming or agricultural sector is not well organized.
Yes.
Because government neglected this sector for a very long time. It lacks organization. You have instances where people plant, say, rice in large hectares of land, and flood will wash away everything.
Yeah.
They are now left to the mercy of the
creditors.
environment in terms of, because there is no insurance.
Yeah.
If it's a farmer that borrowed money to do the farm, the banks are not going to listen to him or her about the issue of flooding
And when it's
that destroyed his farm.
when it's
But if this is well organized, it is something that can be easily handled through farm cooperatives.
Yeah.
Because this insurance we're talking about, with as individual farmers, especially as smallholder farmers, they cannot be able to provide the insurance necessary. But if they come as a cooperative, which is also the kind of thing that we are suggesting that government can do for the youths, because the youths can go into large-scale farming. Government can organize them into cooperatives with enough funding so that they can in that kind of situation, when they are writing their business plan, I told you about the importance of business plan, which young farmers need to be taught, because farming is a business, just like any other business of human endeavor. So some of the things they will be taught include having insurance for their farms, how they are going to factor it in their business plan, and things like that. So we don't have that for now. Of course, big time farms may have it, because after all, if you have a very large farm, hundreds of hectares, even insurance companies can come to you and say, we want to provide cover for you, so that you, in case of any unforeseen events, we can intervene. Are you getting it? But the level we are discussing about the youths, most youths who want to go into this farming cannot be able to do that, but government can provide
enabling environment and incentives
for that, and even encourage insurance companies to embrace the idea
and
of insuring those farms
and underwrite some of their liabilities too.
Yes, because insurance is very critical in the agricultural sector, like in many other areas of our lives.
Mr. Wadima, I think we'll have, this is a very wide topic that can't be covered in just 30 minutes. I think it's something we need to discuss again on Money Radio, the Agric segment. So maybe next week we'll consider that. That's the much we can take today. Time is fast spent. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for being our loyal followers. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Money Radio is where you need to be. Yes, for information, analysis about what is going on in the Nigerian economy. Mr. Paul Wadima, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks to all of you who have been our producers out there. We say thanks to you, our loyal followers. And Case Hammond have been your host. COVID-19 is real. Stay safe.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.